Welcome back to the Squatchers Lounge podcast. This week we're off to Western New York State, where the Rev has found another curious collection of vocals to present to you. And we're gonna work through them tonight. Now are they the real deal? We'll find out. Along with some new evidence in the cases against Todd Standing, and revelations not to be missed. All this and much more right here tonight on the Squatchers Lounge podcast. And now, here's the beard behind the show, the Reverend Jeff Kelly.
Must fight urge to push the stop broadcast button. Whoop. All right, we made it this time, folks. Sorry about that. Hey, look. It's been one of them days, and believe you me, that was the last thing I wanted to have happen. But here we are. I'm here. You're there. Makes the whole thing awesome. So we're going to be talking about some Western New York Bigfoot vocals tonight. There was a collection of them together, all in one file. It was like 10 minutes long, and I really took the time to break down what I thought were the most possible, strange, unusual, weirdest things I've ever heard come out of that portion of the United States. Some of it I think I know what it is. Some of it I'm not so sure. So we will get to that. But first up tonight, as always, is the news. We're going to get a little newsy with it, and along with the news is going to come all that Todd Standing information. So set your recorders going there, people, because this is going to be important at the end of this. All right. So we've got ancient elephants and mastodons. We're totally down with pow chicka wow wow. Yeah, well, of course they would have been. They were so close in genetic structure. It would be like saying that humans and Neanderthals didn't do it. So, of course, in the history of elephants, from gigantic woolly mammoths through to the modern forest-dwelling pachyderms, is more complicated than we thought. An analyst of modern and ancient elephant genome shows that interbreeding and hybridization was an important aspect of elephant evolution. But that's the thing, is it has to happen on a big scale. You can hybridize. It's not a problem. As long as you've got like 5,000 hybrids that can breed together to continue the species, the populations of that speciation. Yeah, I know I'm talking in big words, but, you know, look them up. They're not that hard to understand. The new research published today in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences shows that ancient elephants were very much the product of interbreeding between species. Elephants, both from the ancient past and those living today, were shaped by this mating practice. That's right. One of the ways evolution happens, Dean and I, we kind of agree on viruses playing a big part in evolution. It only takes one little protein to change to go from proto-chicken to chicken egg. Speaking of proto-chickens, bonobos and chimpanzees just share many of the same meanings. Well, since they're nearly like identical cousins. They're cousins, identical cousins. That's right. They walk alike, they talk alike, they look alike, except for one 6 foot tall and likes to beat the hell out of things. And the other one, not so much. If a bonobo and a chimpanzee were to meet face to face, they could probably understand each other's gestures. In the article published the 27th February in Open Access Journal PLOS Biology. Researchers from the universities of St. Andrews, York, and Kyoto have found that many of the gestures used by bonobos and chimpanzees share the same meanings. The two great ape species are closely related, having separated about 1 to 2 million years ago. We already know that they share many of the same gestures, but the degree of similarity between these meanings of the chimpanzee and bonobo gestures is a new discovery. That's right. That's your strange cousin trying to pick bugs off your face. Sasquatch raiders coming to town. You better watch out. You better not squatch. You better not shoot him or he'll put you in a house. I don't know. Northwest Austrian naturalist David George Gordon will speak about the mythological and iconic Sasquatch at the Grand Cooley Library on March 8th. 6:30 in the evening. It's in a free hour-long program. That's right. So check it out if you are going. I can't even see where this is. Unfortunately, the Star, Grand Coulee. I'm not exactly sure what state that's in. You'd think there'd be a mention of it here somewhere, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So, there it is, Washington State. If you're near the Grand Coulee area of Washington State, you can go check out that presentation on March 8th. Speaking of weird shit, yeah, hey, we're not going there. We're retraining our parrot to be a studio audience instead of silent partner. Yeah, you're looking at what's being touted, a Sasquatch print on a futon. Apparently there was an abandoned futon, and the February 16th, while in Nebraska for the 28th Bigfoot conference, an email was written at 11:08 the night before, subject tracks found today. I'm just having a hard time recalling exactly where they had found these tracks, but basically, as you go through here, they were found on a futon, and they have now carved out the sections of the futon, like the Shroud of Turin. I mean, this is a picture of the futon where they carved out the footprints that the Bigfoot walked across the futon. Yeah, I can see something walking across that barefoot. Sure. I don't know what to think of it. I really don't at this point. I mean, Cliff's involved, so of course, eventually it'll come to a conclusion. Although, Cliff, I got to tell you, man, are the London tracks real or not? Shit or get off the pot. We waited long enough for that answer. You've kind of been avoiding us on it for a long time. So enough's enough with the London tracks. They're either real or they're not real. And if they're not real, can you please share with us as to why they're not real after, so many years of hoeing and humming that they could be real? What were you looking at that made them real to you? And now all of a sudden they are not. Okay, people. As I promised, our good friend Tyler Huggins was involved with the original debunking of the Ketchum DNA study, where he personally paid for out of pocket to have the same specimen sample tested as Melba Ketchum's prime sample number 26 that supposedly this whole Sasquatch genome she was able to get from it came back to his people as black bear contaminated with human being, and we literally had a picture of the owner of that sample with it in his hand. So for her to say that there was no human contamination on that part and that all of that information was all the animal, then it was tough to say. Anyhow, he's also trying. He's been trying to debunk and dispute Todd Standing's puppets for years as well. And finally, he's put forth another article out to the public as in fair comment, qualified privilege, and responsible communications of matter of public interest, responsible journalism, and it is the fact, the truth, justification. This is all over Facebook. I'm sure it is all over Twitter as well. It is out there and easily accessible. I have plenty of links. I will be glad to send you the copy. You can download it for yourself and read the entire thing. However, what's come down is not only were they able to locate the costume maker for Todd Standing's film efforts, but they were also able to locate the person who was in said costume. Now, these people gave forth interviews in this article, and the article is very forthcoming with what they said. However, due to the longevity of it and the popularity of it, and now that it's into the court system in Canada, they truly didn't want to be named firsthand within this article to be directly contacted by every nut job in the Bigfoot world. We can kind of understand that. However, in this article, The breadcrumbs are there to figure out who those people are. And the link, as you can tell, has direct links to everything one might need to track down said people. Now, there is a second page on this. And basically, this is where the information comes into to play. It's a spoiler alert. For any of you people out there who are still Todd Standing supporters, I truly, truly want you to listen to this, because this isn't fake. This is fact. This has been researched information, and it can be backed up by facts of evidence. So the guy that put this out isn't afraid of being sued by Todd Standing. So you should listen to it as truth. He says, I'll disclose this much, that the person that Todd employed to wear the fursuit is 6'5" bodybuilder from Edmonton, Alberta. He currently has a respectable position in the field of emergency services. This person was hired to act and perform both in the fursuit and out of it. The film participants can be seen in this clip, and there's a clip to a YouTube video that shows these people acting in a film clip labeled Sylvanic something or other. I can't remember exactly what it says. It says the fursuit was made by a woman in Edmonton. Now, none of these hired people acted with any malicious intent. Although most of their names were already in the public domain, they neither wished nor did he wish them further disrupt. It's not about naming the people who reached out to him and or who were employed to fulfill the vision of Mr. Standing. They are not the blame for the false or misleading claims. Those rest with him. Furthermore, Standing claims that all of his video evidence are of equal veracity, which means by his own words, then they all must be equally fraudulent. Because he says he's never had any actors or any kind of suits in any of his videos whatsoever. Yet here's a document that has linked proof to that not being true. Fraudulent claims hurt the Sasquatch community and hinder the potential for public acceptance of legitimate evidence. In this particular case, they've also had measurable financial impact on the public. For example, those who paid thousands of dollars to go out into the woods with Todd Standing, and on tax-supported court and government cases. They should not be tolerated, and he also believes that hoaxes harm the public and should be prosecuted. Claims from fraudulent sources will always be rooted out and rejected by rational sentries within the community. If you or anyone you know has any more insight into this situation, please contact us. And you can send me an email direct at sloungepodcast@gmail.com, and I will be sure that he gets any of that additional information. Basically, what it's come down to is right here. Todd Standing has been able to compel to pay people approximately $6,200 Canadian per person to join him on outings into the woods. Evidently, these same claims compromise part of Mr. Standing's evidence in court cases against governments in the U.S. and Canada, since these cases will use public resources and taxpayer money while invoking what I have been informed is a manufactured evidence. I feel confident that my efforts to expose this chicanery, are in the public's best interest. The other interesting thing that came out of this is the simple claim here that he literally set out to create a believable Sasquatch hoax that would allow people to disconnect their belief with Sasquatch. And I'm trying to find the exact verbiage in this because here it is. I found it very disturbing when I heard that he had reluctantly begun trying to profit from his hoax video, and once again undoubtedly due it to his claims of veracity surrounding video 2 and video 3, which is Winky and Blinky, that compelled people to pay $6,200 Canadian per person to join him in these outings. Now, The other things that I happen to have that we can point to a direct correlation to this. Let me make sure I don't fat finger this one. I know this is so boring. It's so boring, but this is years. This is years of finally I can say, nah, 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 nah. I was right and you were wrong. They actually paid for the court documents of Todd Standing's claim against the British Columbia court systems. And basically, when you read through all of this, and I have copies of these, I'll be glad to share them with you as well. He's saying that the British Columbian government has done him harm by not admitting that Sasquatch is real, so he can't sell his fake Bigfoot adventures. It hurts his credibility and his ability to earn a profit. That's literally what these 24 points in to the British Columbia court system. Through all of that, the British Columbia court system had a response. Imagine that. And their response was stick it in your ass. Pretty much. Let me get the right one up here. The response to the claims. Was that the one that we just went through as well? No, it is actually different. For some reason, it doesn't want to load, but let's try it one more time so that you can see that I actually have it. Oh, there it is. The response to the civil claim and the facts. Everything, the part 1 is denied, part 2 is denied, part 3 doesn't have anything at this additional time. There's no legal basis for it. There's no civil crime. He hasn't been harmed in any way. This is not a proper case for granting declaratory relief. The plaintiff has no standing to bring the within action. I mean, it doesn't need to be any clearer than that this was nothing more than a ruse to try and become or stay relevant to dupe people out of $5,000 trips into British Columbian Bigfoot territory. He can't claim that now. He can't claim that it's Bigfoot territory if British Columbia doesn't claim that there's a Bigfoot. So he tried to sue them into it and lost. Now we have another claim here in the United States that the same exact claims are being made by a lady in Southern California that somehow she's been harmed and lessened and divided because California won't admit that Bigfoot are real and that her credibility and her worth as a person has been lessened somehow by them failing to recognize Bigfoot or Sasquatch as a species of hominid on our planet. So again, they're trying to sue the government into recognition of something that we don't even have a specimen for. I don't make this stuff up, people. It's just what's happening. But, you know, there's a lot of that going on. And it's all over these wilderness adventures. You know, we talked about that Indian fellow who likes to open up the bone boxes of his people while he's out with them. Now Cliff is doing, you know, he's doing $800 a person trips into the national forest. I mean, he's got a permit to do it. It's great and all, but $800? Really? I mean, anyhow, I mean, whatever, man. If you can get people to pay it, you feel that it's worth that cost, then I guess more power to you. Get it while you can, because Bigfoot's dying. I mean, that's what's happening. People are trying to get in while they can. You got Don, somebody or other's Wilderness Adventures, and this Wilderness Adventures, and the whole I give it away. Oh my God. I invite people to come squatching for free May 18th, 19th, and 20th. That's right. We're talking about the Eldorado Bigfoot Watch Campout in Black Oak. I'm paying for it. I'm buying I'm paying the fees for the campsite, and I'm inviting all of you people to come camping with me, and we'll go squatching for free. No $800. Bring your tents, bring your food, bring your family, bring some fishing poles. Make sure you pay your licenses. It's only $25 for 2 days, by the way. You can get 2 days of fishing while you're down there for $25, and we'll stop at the Bass Pro Shop on the way out to do it. So that, my friends, is your news. Todd Standing's a dick update and the El Dorado Bigfoot watch information. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so now it is time for a Quasi rewind from the Mr. Dean Cooper himself. Tell me if the audio is sucky on this. It shouldn't be, but some people are complaining that the audio is sucky on this, and I don't want it to be. So with that, I give you Dean's surprise Quasi rewind. And now, Quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
I just finished watching a show covering the 2016 Consumer Electronics Show out in Vegas. I found it disconcerting, to say the least. Forget your fears of Skynet and T-1000s coming for you. Focus your paranoia on that which you will soon use every day. There are now at least 3 brands of digital sneakers, one of which can tighten or loosen its own shoelaces, 2 of which have HD displays, yes, HDTV on your shoes, and 2 of which have foot warmers, all of which Bluetooth to your phone. Your phone can Bluetooth to your computer, your new digital refrigerator can Wi-Fi to your TV, which can Wi-Fi to your phone, which can Bluetooth to your electric blanket, which can talk to your sneakers. Your Japanese digitally controlled toilet, which can spray wash your butt and genitals, will then blow dry, no pun intended, those areas, and is controlled by Bluetoothing to your phone. The heating, air conditioning, door locks, and burglar alarm in your house talk to your computer with Wi-Fi, and your computer talks to your phone about how things are going home-wise. This is a shortened list of all the potentially digitally connectable items that are available now or in a year or two. They are all talking to each other more and more. Soon, if you piss off your refrigerator, your toilet may not dry your butt. Anger your microwave, and your refrigerator will only order gluten-free vegan food from Peapod. Or maybe worst of all, annoy your phone and it will tighten the bejesus out of your shoelaces, give you a hot foot, and then program the video displays on those sneakers to show all the porn in full HD you've had Siri search for. Skynet and the T-1000 would mercifully only kill you. You may read the text of this hypothesis on my blog, My Blatherings, at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
Well, there you go. bydean.com. Hey, Dean, by the way, post your YouTube channel in the chat while you're in there, because, people might want to go and check them that way. And I almost actually pushed the stop button again, damn it. So thankful I didn't, because it's time for an amazing camping tips for stupids with the Gone Camping channels, Jevin Moore. So with that, here we go. A brand new camping tips for stupids.
Camping tips for stupids. Tip number 61. Idiots will call camping simulating homelessness, practicing being poor. Well, all I know is that best quality gear sure sometimes costs as much as a tiny house. And I will be poor if I have to buy it all again just because some jackass stole everything while I was down by the bank fishing. Campsite security is important, because not every camper is a good camper. Yeah, like that guy. That guy's not a good camper. Everybody avoid that guy. Fortunately, I've never had anything major stolen out of my tent, but just the same, I practice precautions just in case. Precautions like locking the high-value gear in your car. Things like cameras, fishing gear like $50 reels or rods. Anything that's the most expensive and sensitive goes in my car and gets hidden away in there. Other precautions include, but not limited to, zipping up your tent and putting a small padlock through the zipper tabs, putting up a trail camera to overwatch your campsite, keeping a scary dog leashed near your tent, playing recordings of people porking inside your tent, and my personal favorite, leaving a xenomorph egg in the tent for the thief to discover as he zips down the door. It doesn't have to be a real one. I just love watching the expression on their faces when the top of it opens up. This has been Camping Tips for Stupids. Remember to keep your Xenos on a leash.
And spay and neuter your idiot population, because God bless the Gone Camping channel. That is hysterical. All right, let's see who's hanging out here in the live revival tent tonight. That's right, I am your leader here, the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and we are hanging out in the Bigfoot revival tent. Let's see who's hanging out with us tonight. Keith Harden, Kathy Yarborough, how you doing there? Cheryl Willen, Sam Squanch Rivera, Natalie Smith is in the house. There is my boy Rod Dupree. He's always in the place to be. Ginn's in the house as well. Natalie Smith, Tim McCune, Dean Cooper. That's right. Can Squanch, Gone Camping, Oreo Cream Rocks. Those are the people, you know, they're always around this joint. Let's see here. Starshine. Got Drew in California Picking. How you doing there, buddy? Michael Bird, Reverend Matthew Gaines, Reverend. That's right. Michael, Coach. I still want to call it Cock. If it was a C, it would be Cock, but I think it's Coach. Jonathan Doty, how you doing? If I didn't say to Sharon Willen, hello there, I have now. I know you guys talk so much. It's awesome. How you doing, people? So glad you are out here tonight with me. Brown Dwarf, I knew I saw you. Lance Windsor, him as well. I saw Don Rife earlier on. I know he's out there somewhere swimming around in this pool of Bigfoot madness. Yeah, I know there's more than this, far more than this. And I'm going to end up missing some. There, Mindy Lamento, how you doing? Glad you're here with us. Getting near the top. If I haven't said your name yet, give me a kick down at the bottom so I know that you're here. That way I don't miss you as well. Forrest Cop, how you doing there, Chief? Glad you're checking in with us tonight. Can't wait till March 31st. I can finally start going and out using my national forest. Can you believe that? My national forest is closed. I'm sorry. The national forest is closed. The Moose out front should have told you. Yeah, apparently the national forest is closed from January 1st to March 31st. Well, you can ride the concrete roads, except, well, they got washed out 2 years ago and we haven't fixed them. So, yeah, screw you too. No, but you can get out to the reservoir, but you can't go into dirt roads. Yeah, you can stand right on the reservoir and fish if you want. Anyhow, Shane Barber, how you doing there, champ? I rant and rave about my national forest, but it's mine. Keith Harden, if I didn't say hi, I surely have now. We are at the very tippy top of this monster, so we are going to jam all the way back down to the bottom. That's if this thing will actually do that. I'm not too sure. Captain Caveman. That used to be one of my favorite cartoons, man. Yikes. 721. Doc Rocked is in the house, as well as Aaron Duncan. R. Visley. Hello there. All right. Okay. I think that's it. I don't think I've missed anybody else. I think we have covered the gambit to people who are out there. Hello, everybody. Chris, right? How you doing? I'm sure that Cassie and Christopher are out there. Squatchbox, how you doing there, guys? Glad you're with us tonight as well. That's right. Okay, so here we go, folks. We are off to New York this week. That's right, Western New York. I was just talking with some of the gang the other night about when we used to go fishing as a little kid. I don't remember much about it, but we used to go fishing by the Frenchies, and I really couldn't figure out where we were going, but we were in Pennsylvania, so most likely we were going up into this area here to go fishing. So I'm assuming those people speak Frenchy. I'm not really sure, but tonight what we're talking about in this area over here, Rochester, Buffalo, we're talking about Western New York. And it's very, very strange. But when you kick over to the satellite images, it kind of gives you a different perspective as to how they look. Now, here is the channel that actually posted up the original audio. There were 10 minutes and 47 seconds of it. I didn't use it all. Some of it was overdone, overmodulated. It was real difficult to really bring anything out of it. Piece of advice: when you set your digital recorders out to run, set your level limiter to run so that when you say something loud directly at it, it peaks, and then set it down and leave it alone. Don't leave it on auto, because that makes it go up and down, and things like a loud bird will just max out your freaking microphones and you'll never get anything in the distance. So when you're setting your recorders out to record, make sure you set the level. And, you kind of want to peak it in your hand. Peak, peak, peak. And you want to make the levels not go all the way to the top when it's loud right at it. And then set it out and let it run. And you'll get a lot of things like this guy got. Now, some of these things, I don't know what to think of. The first set of clips, the first one's a minute long. I'm going to give it to you like I always do. I'm going to give it to you raw. I'm going to let you digest it for a minute. And then we're going to listen to some specific cuts out of it that have been enhanced to try and make heads or sense of what it is. So this is the very first part of that clip. What the hell is that in Western New York that makes it sound like that? At first, I was like, oh, those are elk fighting. Cool. You can hear their antlers. Wait, no, not there. They're not moose. Not exactly sure what they would be. So I took a little closer listen to the tree knocks and realized that it isn't just one thing beating on a tree. It's definitely two. Take a listen to the enhancement on this. Those knocks are definitely coming from two different locations. And whatever this particular recorder is this recorder actually has two independent microphones. And when you're looking at it during the enhancement, you can see the power level of each knock relative to the microphone that's picking it up. And you can actually see that it's two separate knocks, which is just strange. Very strange to say the least. So the second part of that clip then were the whales and these weird slaps, thumps, slaps on chests type of thing. You know, a lot of times people talk about hearing women wailing in the distance at night in the woods. And, you know, to me, that sounds female. I mean, it definitely doesn't sound like. Damn it, Herbert, you walked across a futon and left your dirty prints on it again. Yeah, I don't know what in the western woods of New York would really be making those noises. I've been there. I've been through it. I just, you know, I'm not sure of really what that could be. It's just one of those things. The next part of that particular file that I was able to pull out were some very strange growls and snarls. Now, it literally sounds as though somebody put a recorder out like on their property and these animals discovered something. And I'll play you it's a 2-minute cut. I'll play you the cut uninterrupted, and then I've got 3 cuts out of it that are just I don't know. We'll see. You know, porcupine, pigs. That's what I thought at first. It's like that's got to be something common. That's just something that just doesn't make any sense. But I was able to really pull the audio up in this, and was kind of surprised at what I found. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like pigs to me. Not entirely sure what that is. Man, bear, pig. Yeah, very well could be, Lowrider. I totally agree with you. I'm not absolutely sure what that is. Now, the second part of this is the snarls, and I was able to really the background noise changing is me enhancing the sounds bit by bit because there were some more noisy than others. In this particular clip, at the end of it is where it really gets interesting. It's like two primates arguing over an empty bucket. I just couldn't. I don't know. It doesn't sound porcupine to me. And pigs tend to make a lot more noise than that. I just don't know what that is in Western New York. But to round it all out, to finish it all out for the night, we can't leave without having some kind of a howl come out of this adventure. Listen very quietly. You got to listen close. I mean, you got to really listen close, but it is most definitely there. Again, a different tone, but that same woo. You know, it's one of those cases where the first part of it, I'm going to give it a 70% chance of it being Sasquatch related. The second part of it, I don't know, 50-50 maybe. there's a possibility that it's Bigfoot. Somebody, like I said, we're doing these shows because we want to identify what these noises are. If somebody out there is for sure what they are and can show us a clip of something else making the same noise, we will be glad to listen to it and eliminate it from our drawer of tricks. This isn't about convincing you that these are Bigfoot noises. This is about presenting to you what's being claimed as Bigfoot noises and see how many match across the country and how many don't. So with that, we're going to finish out tonight with another real Bigfoot encounter. That's right, folks. Tonight's story, I was getting much better at them by episode 9. So tonight's story is a little bit... the audio is a little bit better on. I appreciate all of you guys being out there. Come join me tomorrow when my buddy Kurt Harris and I will be doing Vinyl Power, 5 p.m. Look for us on Facebook at Vinyl Power Podcast, and it pops right up. Imagine that. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for being here. And may the Squatch be with you. Welcome to another episode of Real Bigfoot Encounters with Reverend Jeff. This week's story comes to us from a turkey hunter. He had such a scary encounter that it's left him shaken. He hasn't really told this tale to anyone, as it still rattles him to this day. This is that story. I was turkey hunting one morning approximately 4 years ago. It rained all night long, so it allowed me to walk into the forest in complete silence. No leaves crackling and such. I sat up on a hillside overlooking a small creek in a valley. It was nearly pitch black due to the overcast sky, but soon as the rain stopped and the forest started to become brighter. Soon after, I realized I was sitting within 15 feet of several birds that were roosted in the tree next to me. I didn't even know that they were there until they started shaking the rain off. My gun was already propped up on my knee and pointed at my decoy. As things became brighter, I could make out most of the valley floor, and I continued to watch the birds roost next to me. Soon after one of the birds gobbled, I began to hear something off into the distance, almost immediately after. I only remember this because it was a very strange pace sound. The rhythm of it seemed odd. Nothing I could think of would make a sound like this. I could see down the valley to my right for a fairly long distance. However, up to my left, a separate hillside came out, and I couldn't see up the valley in that direction. The noise continued with almost near-perfect rhythm for several minutes, and soon I realized that the sound I was hearing was coming from up the valley in the direction that I could not see. The turkeys in their roost next to me stopped gobbling, and they started to become silent. A few moments later, the forest was becoming fairly bright, and I could see most everything around me. All of the birds roosted in the tree flew down and hit the forest floor running. They didn't even seem to notice my decoy. I remained perfectly still, watching the birds run through the forest down to my right through the valley. They acted as though something spooked them. At first I thought maybe that it was me that spooked them, but then it occurred to me that sound that I had heard had stopped about the same time that the birds took off. As soon as the birds were out of sight, the noise began again. I remained still, leaning against a large ash tree. Maybe 1 minute after I lost sight of the birds, the sound became much louder and apparent to me what it might be. My first instinct that it was another hunter walking through the forest. However, to this day, I'll never forget what I saw in the coming moments. The sound with an almost steady rhythm reminded me of what it sounded like as if you were walking on dry leaves in the forest. There was not a drop of wind in the morning, and I believe that the valley might have been echoing the sound. A few moments later, I caught sight of it, maybe 50 yards to my left, coming into view on the bottom edge of the valley. At first, I thought it was a hunter in a ghillie suit, but upon closer examination, I realized that this was no human wearing a camo outfit. It continued to walk upright on 2 feet down the valley to my right. When the creature got to the bottom of the hill outcropping I was sitting on, it stopped dead in its tracks, remained perfectly still momentarily. I think it was at this point I truly realized what I was seeing. When it stopped and stood still, it became nearly invisible in the forest. It seemed like an eternity passed while I sat against the tree, uncontrollably shaking. I was scared out of my wits, even with a 10-gauge shotgun propped up on my knee, pointed in the direction of that creature.
What happened next scared me so bad, I would have bet my life on it that I was going to have a heart attack. The creature turned its head and looked directly at me. It stared directly into my eyes, and I stared back into the eyes of this creature. It was an unknown amount of time. It made no sound. It did not move, only stared at me. I was dressed in full camouflage, including a face mask, so maybe it wasn't sure what it was seeing? Shaking so bad at this point, the only thing I could think of was to defend myself. I clicked the safety off of my shotgun. When I did this, the creature went into an almost crouching position, only it seemed more like it was in a position that it would allow it to move away quickly. The stare down went on for, I don't know, many more minutes. It seemed like forever. I readied my shotgun, not afraid to move anymore since it was apparent I had been seen. When I positioned my left hand under the forearm of the shotgun, the creature sprang up, nearly causing me to pull the trigger. It continued its walk through the forest with its head turned watching me. I continued pointing my gun at it. I never pulled the trigger. I was so afraid I didn't know what to do. Eventually, I lost sight of it. I jumped up as soon as it was gone, and I ran back to my truck without stopping to rest once. To this day, I will never forget what I saw and the feeling of absolute terror that overcame me. I don't want to be famous, nor do I want my story posted all over the internet. I just thought I should tell somebody my story. Anonymous. Just like many of the sightings of this elusive creature, for this turkey hunter, it was the scariest moment of his life. For me, it's just another real Bigfoot encounter. Thanks for watching. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you.